This is my first and last time playing Wurm Online. I was considering playing it as my main game, but I can tell you right now, that sure as hell isn't happening. Character creation was surprisingly easy, a nice change from the painful setups most MMORPGs force you through. But as soon as I logged in, the biggest challenge wasn't the game itself, it was fighting the settings. The camera uses mouse 1 to move instead of mouse 2. Sprinting is a toggle, and if you don't activate it, you'll just walk into hills like they're solid walls. The inventory is just a list, like something ripped from a game development tool, sort of like EVE Online, but worse. Using tools is even more painful. Despite being in your inventory, you still have to equip them before use. Every single mechanic feels over-engineered and clunky. I went into this blind, not knowing the release date. Turns out it's from 2006, but even by 2006 standards, this is garbage. It reminds me of Second Life, a convoluted hot mess of a game. The only reason Second Life had any traction was the ability to make real money through selling cosmetics. Wurm doesn't even have that excuse. It calls itself the ultimate sandbox, but it's so unenjoyable to interact with anything that I can see why I didn't run into a single other player. The tutorial told me to pick up dirt, and the moment I did, my movement slowed to a crawl. Instead of fixing this idiotic mechanic, the devs just placed signs in the game saying, "Drop your dirt if you're moving slow." That says everything about the devs' attitude, set and forget. No quality of life updates in sight. I accidentally went the wrong way in the tutorial thanks to a dead end, wasting time, but eventually I got out of town. Already hating every interaction so far, I decided to at least see if there was anything cool before I quit. I followed a path leading into the distance. I saw farms, fences, and houses, each labeled with the names of the players who built them. I'm not sure if land is first come, first serve, or if it works like Archeage where you rent it, but what I do know is that almost every building was unfinished or ridiculously tiny. And there were animals everywhere. No purpose, no function, just aesthetics from bored players who clearly gave up halfway through. Mining or chopping logs is just as bad. You can right-click and tell your character to mine, but if you're too far away, nothing happens. Instead of closing the gap automatically, like any normal game would, Wurm just lets you waste your time. This kind of janky design is everywhere. Over-engineered in all the worst ways, with zero care given after that. Looking at the game's goal sheet, it's clear this is a slow-moving game where combat isn't the focus. Building is the real goal, which explains why so many half-finished houses litter the map. I'm guessing most people quit out of boredom or frustration. There's no sense of progression, just a to-do list of random tasks. Nothing feels intrinsically rewarding. I honestly have no idea who the target audience for this is. After playing MMORPGs for over 20 years, I can confidently say this is one of the worst I've ever tried. Somehow, the quest menus look oddly modern, like RuneScape 3's Oddment Shop, but the exclamation marks don't disappear after accepting a quest. Just another half-baked feature left unfinished. The only real highlights? I saw a sign that said "Don't park your horses here," and players had stacked donkeys and carts everywhere. That got a chuckle out of me. Also, I ran past a house and saw a kitchen table through the window, which reminded me of Theo Vaughn. That was the extent of my entertainment. Outside of that, this game is absolutely garbage. It feels like a high school project using free assets on a cheap engine. They've had 19 years to make something of this, and it's still as trash as it must have been in 2006. I don't even know how it's still running when better games have died off. This should be in the grave. I'm almost annoyed that I wasted my time, but at least I got this video out of it. Hopefully, you save yourself from making the same mistake. This was Jod. I'm currently playing a lot of Cal Online. Please feel free to check out the channel if you remember the Korean fantasy grinder from 2004. I'm currently working on level 90 to 100 as a free-to-play player. I'll review my trials and tribulations between the levels. I also test monster areas for their profitability. Hope to see you again.
Like and subscribe.